10 minutes after the hour of 6 o'clock. It is a Tuesday morning, the 16th day of September. Mark Sy, your host here on the early morning program. Looks like we might be struggling a little bit today with our sound on the social media platforms that we use here. So I'm kind of checking it out. Jennifer's already with us on YouTube. I think she can hear us, and maybe she'll give us another comment saying that she can hear us or well or can't hear us well. I guess if she can't hear us, she wouldn't be able to tell me whether she can hear me or not. But Jennifer, I know you're out there this morning and connected up, and let me know how the sound is on your side if you can tell. And maybe a Facebook person will get on there also and let us know how it sounds on their side. And one of those things, ladies and gentlemen, I need a broadcast specialist to do a few things here in the studio. All of a sudden, everything seems to be a little bit off, and my apologies. Okay, so if you hear something that's not coming through clear, or whatever it is, and it's not the battery this time, because I recharged the battery last night when I came in at about 8:30 in the evening to get some production work done, because Mr. Producer is under the weather. So Jennifer says she can hear us, and I'm hoping that she can hear us clear. Maybe the music is going to be a little bit different when we cut off a little bit before 6:30 and a little bit before 7. Maybe that'll be a little different on YouTube and on Facebook this morning. But thank you, Jennifer, for your response there. We are in the 21st, second to the last chapter of the book of Revelation. And I'm slowing down a little bit on the book of Revelation. I don't want this to end. Let me tell you why I think I don't want it to end. Because I'm not sure where we're going to go once we finish. I have some ideas and maybe some little changes, and we're going to maybe move a couple of things around. Bad sound, that's what I was afraid of. That is what I was afraid of. All of my, like what, Joe? Maybe give me a little bit more what it is. Because if it's too bad, I don't know whether we'll continue or not. So I don't know why. I got everything connected up. I made sure that everything was supposed to be. And add it and see if anything that I change. Don't let my grovelly voice be one of the factors that's out over there. So we'll clear our throat and keep on going. So yeah, I don't know exactly what we're going to do once we finish. We only have a chapter and a half left. Shouldn't take us more than this week to finish a chapter and a half, and especially if you're kind of dragging your feet and kind of slowing everything down. So I'm just waiting to see if I can get it. Sounds muffled, but okay, Kathleen says. I don't know, Kathleen, I don't know exactly why it would sound muffled. Everything, I recharge the batteries, that goes to the iRig. I check connections on the iRig. I got my meter, my sound meter sounds like if it, well, see, it looks like if it's doing what it's supposed to be doing. And it's not just the way it should be, but let's get into it. Let's talk a little bit about where we were. The ending of the book is just a few days away. Here's what I'm thinking of, okay? I'm thinking of giving a topical series here on the early morning program before we get into Genesis on why I know that the gifts of the Spirit are for today and we should be using them. Okay, that's something that I want to apply, because that's a question that I get all the time and has caused some issues over the years. And I have some stories, ladies and gentlemen. I have some experiential stories that Javier says muffled a bit. Yeah, Javier, I don't know, man. Thanks for throwing it in there, but from what I can tell, everything that I have, I'm looking at the green iPad, should be at 19.86. It's there. I'm looking at the voice track, which doesn't have anything to do with the iPad. I don't know what I did wrong. I don't know what I did wrong. And anyway, let's continue. So maybe I will try to encourage you once we finish on the present day ministry of the Holy Spirit and how important it is to your everyday life from the scriptures, with some very, the few that I can think of right now, and I'm sure that when we get into it, there'll be a lot more. Anyway, some real life experiences. Okay, so been in this for 50 years, and I've seen a lot of stuff, a lot of good stuff from the Holy Spirit. Good morning, Flo. How you doing this morning? And then we get into Genesis. And maybe when we get into Genesis, and my wife kind of cautioned me yesterday, thank you, Mrs. Seiss, how are you going to do this? How are you going to control if we have people able to get on Switcher or on Zoom or something like that? How are you going to control that? Well, I kind of have some ideas already. We're just not going to open it up to the whomsoever's of the world, okay? Some people are going to just have to get their own programs, but I have brothers and sisters in the Lord that I know will be balanced when it comes out to stuff like that. Good morning, Yolanda. And I'm looking for I'm not looking for it yet. I wish somebody else. I have somebody that has somebody. Jody has a nephew that is real good when it comes down to Switcher, to see how we can do some of that stuff and see if we can bring some people in, maybe when we get into Genesis. Not always looking to do it the same way, because that's the way we've always done it, and that's the way we're going to do it. It's a set and cement. No, not on this side. Not in my life. Change is constant. Revelation chapter 21:9 says, then, let's tell you that we have a website, lvcornerstone.com. Let's also tell you that we have a prayer and input line at klyn903 at gmail.com. John Esquivel is with us. Joe Gentry is with us. Yolanda's with us. Flo's with us. Leroy's with us. Kathleen's with us. Javier is with us. And Jennifer's with us. And those are the ones that I can see. And thank you very much. John, you and I need to talk about a couple of things whenever we get a chance. Let's see if we can meet up here, and maybe tonight at the Bible study, if you can make it, John. I have some ideas, and I believe they're God's ideas. So sorry for the sound. Sorry that it might be muffled a little bit, but welcome to live radio on a budget. Everything I do is on a budget. Then, verse 9, chapter 21, the book of Revelation. Then one of the seven angels who had the seven bowls filled with the seven last plagues came. Now, we're not going to go over another set of plagues. The plagues are behind us. The judgment has happened already. God had opened the door. Watch this. For some people say it's been 6,000 years since Adam. Okay, other people say, oh no, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But from Adam all the way up to the end of the 20th chapter, the door had been open for the mercy of God. The mercy of God, ladies and gentlemen, is, and here's my definition of it, because it is important that we realize, is that God is a merciful God, but he is also just. Mercy is not getting what I deserve. Mercy is me going before the judge, and maybe I've done that before in my past, maybe, and stand before the judge and knowing that I was guilty. And the judge would say, we're going to give you a free pass because somebody paid the penalty for you. Somebody did your time. Now, that's not what happened in my personal life, but you get the idea what mercy is that somebody serves. The Bible says that all have sinned, all have fallen short of the glory of God, that all deserve death and eternal separation away from God. But his mercy says, I am going to send my son, my only begotten son, to die in your place, to rise again from the dead and defeat death for you. And then I am going to bring him back unto heaven, sit him at the right hand, and he's going to rule and reign with me forever and ever. And the door of mercy was open from the time of Adam till the end of the 20th chapter. For thousands of years, whether it was 6,000, 12,000, all I can tell you is that from the time first man had failed in the garden, chapter 3 of the book of Genesis, all the way up to the end of the chapter that we just finished a couple of days ago, the door of mercy was open. But justice has to come alongside and balance out mercy. We love mercy. We love mercy all the time. We love, and judgment, we really don't want to deal with judgment, but you know what? You have to have both in concert working with each other. The rules, ladies and gentlemen, we love the rules when they work for our advantage, but when they don't. I was looking at a news report earlier today, and if anybody's a golfer, you kind of know that golf is supposed to be a sport about the rules. They're real sticklers. And they're real sticklers when it comes down to playing according to the rules. So when you're kicking the ball with your foot, or you're taking an extra swing and you're not counting it, or you're doing different things that are against the rules in golf, you're not supposed to get away with it. It's supposed to be a gentleman's sport, to where you even rat yourself out and said, well, I touched the ball and I know I wasn't supposed to. It's like the former Gene Torres told me, if it moves one dot mark, if it moves one little dimple in the ball, it's a foul, and you have to be able to say, I did it, and you nobody might have seen it. So that's what golf is supposed to be like. In fact, I was looking at a news report, as I was telling you, about a golfer who lost a big tournament because his caddy took a golf cart ride over to the next hole. I think he had to run to go get something for the golfer, and he went in a cart and came back in a cart. It's against the rules. And you say, well, how stupid is that? It's the rules. There's a reason why there were rules. God's mercy is saying, listen, the rules are that you should die, but I came that you might have life and you might have it abundantly, overflowing, Zoe life, that you might have it. And when we realize that, and when we continue to know that, and the mercy of God, really, the way I'm looking at this at the end of the previous chapter, is the door of mercy had closed. I mean, he had done everything that he could do, to the point of bringing judgment and trumpets and bowls and seals and thunders and all kinds of stuff he had done over and over to get the attention of men. And then he has the judgment, the final judgment. And you know what? You cannot run away from judgment. You need to be looking for judgment. You need God. Listen, I was talking to one of my employees just a while ago. Her back's hurting. Young girl, athlete. Her back's not, something wrong. But she's going to go to a chiropractor. She has already the appointment. I say, good, for a chiropractor. What's a chiropractor going to do? Chiropractor is going to bring adjustment. What the chiropractor does is he looks at basically the spine where all the nerves come out of, and sometimes one of those vertebrae gets a little twisted this way or a little twisted that way. It's not always the vertebrae. Sometimes it can be a muscle. Sometimes it can be a joint. But their job is to bring things into alignment. And when things are in alignment in your body, everything's going well, the way that it should be going in the regard that I'm talking about. There's other things, and I know that there's other sources for pain and discomfort in your life. Physically, we're just talking about physically using, but you have to bring adjustment, and the justice of God brings that final adjustment after all the mercy and the grace, because grace and mercy go together. How much time do I have? Not enough. Grace and mercy come together. Okay? Grace says you're not going to get what you deserve. In fact, you're walking out of the courtroom and you're got a big smile on your face because somebody paid the price for you. And on the way out, somebody gives you a big old check. That's what grace is. We'll talk more about that after the top of the hour. I don't know how the music is going to sound on social media this morning, but hey, let's give it a shot. So I'm getting a report that there's no music coming through social media. So I have a song playing currently on let me turn my headphones down a little bit so it doesn't conflict. So yeah, for you people that are on YouTube and on Facebook, Flo tells me that no music is playing, but on KLYN, I guess I could throw I don't know how I would do it. I'm not even going to go there. But we have Bart Miller singing "Leaning on the Everlasting Arms." So let's talk a little bit before I have a minute to get into the weather report. We talked about mercy and we talk about grace. Mercy for me is not getting what I deserve, and then grace is getting much more. It's the power. It's mercy. The grace is the spirit of living God. So I'm walking out of the courtroom, and I'm walking out of the courtroom. Somebody gives me in the natural, somebody would give me a ton of money and say, okay, go pay your lawyer off, pay your debts off, and you're going to have everything. And when you need more, there'll be more for you. That's what grace is. That's my little example. So let's get into a weather report because that song is ending, and I can put my yeah. Right there is where. Anyway, it is 30 minutes after the hour of 6 o'clock. Let me refresh a screen over here. We're not getting any sound on Facebook and on YouTube when it comes down to the radio station, so I'm having to talk over it. 46 degrees is our current temperature. Humidity is at 93%. Here's our weather report for this area today. Mostly sunny, high near 78. Temperatures falling to around 71 this afternoon with southwest wind 5 to 15 miles per hour. 40% chance of scattered showers and thunderstorms this afternoon. Wednesday, mostly sunny, high near 77 degrees. Temperatures falling to around 72 tomorrow afternoon. Southwest wind 5 to 10 miles per hour, 40% chance. And then on Thursday, partly sunny, high near 72, southeast wind 5 to 10 miles per hour. And as we've already spoken about for today, tomorrow, Thursday, also has a 40% chance of precip. So scattered showers and thunderstorms in the afternoon, and that's kind of the common is around the 70s, lows and highs, ups and downs around the 70s with a 40% chance of precip and not a lot of wind to go along with it. So that is good morning, Andreita. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Leroy says, I hear you knocking. You don't start using oldies, Leroy, because I get all crazy when you start talking about it. I hear you knocking. So let's go back to the scriptures this morning after I tell you that I have a prayer and input line, klyn903@gmail.com. Now, if you're using klyn903@gmail.com for immediate response, I can't look at it while I'm on the program. So if you want to leave a comment, you want to say, I can't hear you, I have a question, and you need it, you want something maybe that's appropriate right away during the program, you would have to put it on the Facebook or YouTube comment section. So that's the only way that I can do it right now. Maybe one of these days we'll have a segundo sitting in the background. I've had them before, looking at Facebook or punching buttons or something like that. So we were talking, and I talked during the song for the people that are on the radio this morning about mercy and about grace. Okay? Mercy, not getting what I deserve. I deserve death. Remember, verse 8 says that there are people that will experience a second death. I will not experience, I'm dead already. I've already gone through the first death. The first death is Galatians 2:20. Galatians 2:20 is, I am crucified with Christ, nevertheless I live. And the life that I now live, I live by faith in the Son of God who loved me and gave himself for me. I'm a dead man already. But I have resurrected, and I think it's the 15th chapter of 1 Corinthians that tells me that I have overcome death because he overcame death. Remember the overcoming type of a deal. So because he died, we died. Because he rose from the dead, we rise with him. Baptism in water is all about that, ladies and gentlemen. And when we realize that and know that, we can really understand what the experience that we have is all about. Okay, now, here we go. So, what do? Well, I receive the mercy of God and say, thank you, Father, because I deserved death. I deserved eternal damnation. Yes, eternal damnation is what I deserve. But God had mercy on me as a judge, and he hit the gavel and says, not guilty. Or guilty, but somebody paid the price for you. Somebody's did your time for you. You say, wow. And then the judge says, but, and I go, but, and he says, but we have gifts that we want to give you, and we have fruit that we want to give you, and we have somebody that we want to walk inside and alongside you, called the Holy Spirit, to lead you and guide you so that you can know more about this mercy and everything. So you can know the merciful one. And that's where we receive it, and that's mercy and grace, and that's the work of the cross. That's the message of the gospel, a kingdom. In fact, he calls us into his kingdom, out of darkness into light. One of the seven angels, sorry, why did I get into that this morning? Because we were talking about the last chapter where the last judgment came. You better be ready for the last judgment, ladies and gentlemen. Then, one of the seven angels who had seven bowls filled with the last seven plagues came to me and talked with me, saying, "Come, I will show you the bride, the Lamb's wife." Oh my God. I'm going to show you the bride. See, this is all culminating, and it's probably just the end of an era, an end of, changing the chapter, changing the page. Talk about page and chapters, ladies and men. Bible study at Heart of David Worship Center with Pastor James Vaughn at 6 o'clock this evening at 333 Peggy Lane. James and I lead that Bible study together, co-host of the Bible study on Tuesdays, and we're getting ready to start a new book. This is a perfect time to come into the Bible study and get ready for the new book. And if we need to order more, it's going to come in just a couple of 2-3 days. No big thing. So, I thought I'd shamelessly throw that out to you this morning in the middle of my teaching. Come, I will show you the bride, the Lamb's wife. The 1,000 years has been has finished. The Satan had been released for a short time at the end of the 1,000 years. Then he had been judged and thrown into a lake of fire forever and ever. Don't have to worry about that no more. And then he says, now let me show you the bride, because there we have had a wedding. I will show you the bride, the Lamb's wife. And, here's a thought that goes through my mind. How would you like to live with the devil forever? How'd you like to live with the deceiver forever in eternal damnation? I mean, we're talking about forever, not just a few years, a few centuries, a few millennia. I'm talking about forever. How'd you like to live with? We all realize that there is a devil, Satan. You say, no way, dude. No. How would you like to live with Jesus forever? How would you like to be part of the wife, the bride of the Lamb? And one of the angels comes and says, "Come, I will show you the bride, the Lamb's wife." And he carried me away in the spirit to a great and high mountain, and showed me the great city, the holy Jerusalem, descending out of heaven from God. So here he's taken away to a great and high mountain, and we can go with him in our spirit, man. We can go with him with our holy imagination. We can go with him this morning and say, let's go up to a great and high mountain. It's a new heaven and a new earth. The old heaven and the old earth has passed away. We've already been there. It's a new era that is starting, and God is showing us, he's giving a revelation from the beginning, the revelation of the Lamb, the revelation of Jesus, the Messiah, the Christ. He carried me away in the spirit to a great and high mountain. Ooh, the wind's blowing a little bit, it's a little cool up on top of that mountain, but you have a great view, and you're looking down. You ever been up to Hermit's Peak and looked below all what you can see from the top of Hermit's Peak? Ooh, I can only imagine. Haven't been there, okay? Maybe one of these days I'll walk up there, find somebody to go with me. We were headed on horses one time, and we had an accident and had to turn around. No, Leroy, not that kind of an accident. And showed me the great city, the holy Jerusalem, descending out of heaven from God. Well, he showed me the great city. There you are on the high mountain. You're looking and you see the great city. Wow. The holy Jerusalem descending out of heaven from God, having the glory of God. Her light was like a most precious stone, like jasper stone, clear as crystal. So the bride, he says, I'm showing you the bride, the holy Jerusalem. I don't, I'm looking at a city, and I'm looking at a bride, and I'm saying, well, is it a bride? Is it a person? Is it it got legs and arms, or does it have, gates and walls? I don't know. I don't know. But one of these days I will know. And I'm going to do whatever I can. Now that we're here, I'm going to do whatever I can until that day comes, till my day comes, because I want to make sure. And I'm sure that all of you want to make sure that you're not only just barely getting in by the skin of your chinny chin, but that you have done and you're faithful, and you can hear those words, well done and faithful servant, and you are an overcomer. That is the goal, the spiritual goal for the rest of your life, to be an overcomer. And Dana told me yesterday, is that Jim McKeever's book, You Can Be an Overcomer, is still available through Amazon. I was surprised about that. He carried me away in the spirit to a great and high mountain, showed me the great city, the holy Jerusalem, descending out of heaven from God, having the glory of God. Moses had the glory of God. The angels that have talked to John have had the glory of God in it seems like in various measures. But you could see the bride or the city, holy Jerusalem, or one and the same. You figure it out. I mean, I don't even know what a street and a river and those trees look like yet, but we'll be there real soon. Having the glory of God. Why? Because they've been in the presence of God. Moses, I tell you, was in the presence of God in the tabernacle. And when Moses would come out of the tabernacle, he would have a veil over his face because of the glory. He had absorbed the very presence of God in his life. It wasn't the God that he saw him with his eyes naturally, but with his spiritual eyes, he saw God, and he partook of the presence of God. But now we have the bride, the Lamb's wife, coming down, having the glory of God, her light. Well, was it the city, or is it the bride, or are they one and the same? Her light was like a most precious stone. Now, here's something that I want to throw out there. What is, let's use the word heaven. I think we use the word heaven wrong many times, but I believe that heaven, let me say it the other way. I believe that earth is just a small representation of what heaven is like. I believe that there's mountains in heaven. I believe that, and the Bible tells, I believe that there's lakes, oceans, everything that we see, the creation. And the problem is that we live in a land that is corrupted by sin. The day that you eat thereof, you shall surely die, and everything is on that process. But we have a Redeemer who overcame death and wants it. So when we look at this stuff, and we have to realize is that we can have a sense of what the great mountain is all about, whether it's on earth or in heaven. But there's no corruption in heaven of the mountains and all the colors and all the material that we see, like a jasper stone, clear as crystal. I have no idea what a jasper stone is. So I go to Webster, and it says a mineral of siliceous kind of several varieties. It's less hard than flint or even than common quartz, but it gives fire with steel, entirely opaque. Okay, somebody talk, but it's not opaque in heaven. Clear as crystal. So what John is trying to do, okay, and Easton's dictionary says that jasper is a gem of various colors. Okay, now that don't help me out a lot. So, but this jasper that he's seen, or something that reminds him of jasper, and remember, earth is just a miniature of heaven, but corruption had come in, and God says we're not going to let that corruption remain forever. We're going to bring it around full circle. But the jasper, her light of the city, her light of the wife, was like a most precious stone, like jasper stone, clear as crystal. So you can see the color, but you can see through the colors. Its purity is what it is. She also, the bride. So they're one and the same, I guess. She had a great high wall with 12 gates and and 12 angels at the gates and names written on them. So you go to around the outside of the bride, who descended from heaven with the glory of God, and light like jasper, like clear crystal. Crystal is something that really you can see through. Kind of like maybe like the glasses that you would wear, or something like that. The one I'm wearing now. And nobody realized I got new glasses last week. I haven't got any comments on it. But you see, clearly through them. And you can even see more clear in heaven, like John is seeing there. A great and a high wall with 12 gates, and 12 angels at the gates, and names written on them, the gates, which are the names of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. And we've talked about this before. What tribes? Because in different lists throughout the Bible, you're going to find different lists. Which 12? Oh, I don't know. It doesn't tell me. And maybe it does someplace in another portion of the scripture that I don't know where to find it, but we have ways of finding out of. So 3 gates on the east, 3 on the north, do your math, 3 on the south, and 3 on the west. So 3 gates on each side, so it's a square. Three gates on the east, 3 gates on the north, 3 gates on the south, 3 gates on the west. Now the wall of the city had 12 foundations. This is a detailed report of what she, the city, the bride, looks like. This isn't just a temple in the old Jerusalem. Remember, the old heaven and the old earth has passed away. All things have been made new. The wall of the city had 12 foundations. That ain't going no place. Some of you guys that have worked with the building trades before, you know about foundations and the importance of a good foundation. I'm finding out here. And this one has 12 foundations, and on them were the names of the 12 apostles of the Lamb. So each of the gates had a name of the 12 tribes, And each of the foundations had the names of the 12 apostles. And I'm guessing that Judas Iscariot isn't one of the names. Now, was it the name from the first chapter of the book of Acts that's on the 12th, or is it somebody else? Hey, we'd like to all say, well, that 12th one is Paul, but it doesn't tell us. All it tells us that the 12 foundations had the 12 names of the 12 apostles of the Lamb. So you look at, and he who talked with me had a gold reed to measure the city, its gates, and its wall. Now, I'm reading this over the last weekend or so. I'm looking at this and I say, the wall of the city. Is it still coming out muffled? I don't know. Somebody said earlier it was coming out muffled. It's too late. We're all, we're too far into this to turn it off now. But if it's coming out muffled, it's probably not your fault. It's not probably on your side. A gold reed. Now we know what a reed is. A reed is, well, we have reeds here. We go to the golf course where there's a lot of water. Talking about golf again, and there's reeds sometimes that are growing around the ponds and stuff like that, wherever there's a lot of water. But imagine one that is made out of gold. You say, well, that's not too hard. You get a leaf and you look at what it is and you can shape gold. How about one, and this is just a guess, how about a reed in heaven that grows gold that's not just covered with gold or just painted with gold or something like that? You say, yeah, let's get one and let's paint it up. How about one that grows as gold? And you say, whoa. There could be a lot of gold. Grow reeds wherever you. Okay, so he who talked with me, one of the angels, and I'm sorry for you, this might be boring. You say, "Ooh, what's the big deal?" Oh, this is our future. We're going to see this one of these days. We're seeing it in little parts and little pieces. We're seeing it now as what is it? 1 Corinthians chapter 13 says, "We see through a glass darkly." Everybody's got their dark sunglasses on spiritually in this world, but we see enough. And the closer you get, the more you can see. So get close and be an overcomer. A gold reed to measure the city, its gates, and its walls. So certain length of a golden reed that maybe the angel had picked out of the pond and made sure that it was the proper length. The city is laid out as a square. See, if you can't see or you don't have the hope that God wants to live in you, you have a hard time getting excited about this. We have a hope, ladies and gentlemen. Hope for me is that little sight glass in a door that you can look through. You go to a motel room and somebody's knocking on the door and you can look through the little sight glass and see who's coming without them even knowing that you're looking at them and who's on the other side. And hope is that sight glass that we can see, not perfectly clear, but we can see what's coming or who's out there. And through the sight glass, I see a city and I get excited about it. Because one of these days, I want to see it, man. I don't want to just be on the outside looking in. We will be there. The city is laid out as a square. In fact, we might have been there on verse 8. Okay, talking about the cowardly, unbelieving, abominable, murderers, sexually immoral, sorcerers, idolaters, and all liars shall have their part in the lake which burns with fire and brimstone, which is the second death. They won't be there. The abominable won't be there. I won't say that again because I'll mispronounce it. I got away twice. I probably won't be so lucky the next time. 12 foundations, a golden reed, gates. Oh, you wait till you see the gates, ladies and gentlemen. Don't go no place. The city is laid out as a square. Its length is as great as its breadth. Okay? You've seen those guys before to where they're going to build something and they get the strings and they get the corners and they put stakes in the ground and they make sure that it's, that the walls are going to be square, okay? And this one, its length was as great as its breadth. And he measured the city with a reed. I'm going to go to the Message real quick just to see how the Message puts this out. The city was laid out in a perfect square. He measured the city with a measuring stick, 12,000 stadia, its length, width, and height all equal, even a height to go along with it, so three-dimensional. 3D, now you got to look at it in 3D. Let's see if somebody tells us maybe amplified. There you go. Revelation 21:16 from the Amplified says, the city is laid out as a square, its length being the same as the width. He measured the city with his rod, 12,000 stadia, and the Amplified says that's about 1,400 miles. Okay. If you go to Los Angeles, it's less than 1,400 miles. But if you go east 1,400 miles, you're going to get almost the way to the Atlantic, okay? I'm guessing. I don't know what the exact is, but I know that it's about 1,000 miles to LA. Its length and width and height are equal, so this helps me put it in some type of a earthly perspective that I can see 1,400, 12,000 furlongs. Don't go to the races, don't understand that. What I do know is that I got to play a song and get us to the top of the hour for those that are on the radio. Now, the rest of you guys, we look at this. See, there's ways of getting around it. There's ways of getting around it. You won't hear Selah singing Amazing Grace, and I apologize. But look at it. Laid out as a square. Length, breadth, and height are equal. And you could tell me down to the nth of an inch. 1,400 miles in either direction. Then he measured its wall, 144 cubits. Dog, I don't even know. Well, I can help you out a little bit there because I think a cubit is about 18 inches. A cubit, I believe, was the measurement from the elbow to the tip of the middle finger. You say, well, what about John D? Yeah, his cubit's going to be bigger than my cubit, that's for sure. But he measured its wall 144 cubits. So if a cubit is 1.5 feet, more or less, okay, that would be 144 and 72. What would be that? About 216 or something like that is what feet. Let's see what the Amplified says. Because here I am. About 200 feet. Oh. According to man's measurements, which are also angelic measurements. Oh, on earth as it is in heaven. Notice how we snuck that in there for you. See what the Message says there. The Message says, using the standard measure, the angel measured its thickness of its wall. 144 cubits. So it doesn't give us anything in the way of not very many of the other ones. Let me see what the Spanish Bible says. Codos. Codos would be what, your elbow? 64 metros. If you know what a meter is just a little bit more than a yard, 39 inches instead of 36 is what a meter is. ESV, just cubits. Everybody else is going to be chicken on us and just give us cubits. Okay, well, we'll go back to the New King James. My song is finishing there. Let's give a top of the hour for the people that are there, and tell them where we're at as we keep going for you Facebook and YouTube people. Good morning, Las Vegas. You're listening to KLYN 90.3 FM, a ministry of Cornerstone Church. It is a Tuesday morning, the 16th day of September. If you're listening to this on the radio station, as I'm invited you in all the time to do it, the people on YouTube and Facebook are unable to listen to the music, and I don't know why, but we're going to, when in doubt, here's the here's the rule of thumb here on in my life. When in doubt, Eileen will tell you this: reboot, turn it off, and turn it on. I came last night, and we were getting some blurb on the radio, and I did the reboot thing before I went back home. 45 degrees is your current temperature, humidity at 90%. Wow. Wind out of the northeast at 3 miles per hour. Barometric pressure is 30.35 inches. We were talking about the cubits. The Amplified says it is about 200 feet. But if I took out my pen and I did 144, let me do the math, because I might have not done it. 6, 11. I'm looking at 216 foot. So yeah, we're real close with the Amplified. As a square. Maybe George is going to help me out there. Maybe George's poor audio. Yeah, I know, George. I apologize. Don't know why, but we're still here. One of my spiritual gifts is stubbornness. I have 2 spiritual gifts that you probably won't find in the Bible, so I don't know if I can even blame God for stubbornness and sarcasm. Sorry, but that's what you get. He measured the wall, 144 cubits, about 216 foot. According to the measure of a man, this is the wall. Okay, this isn't the whole city. The construction of its wall. Now, is this the height? We're in the New King James. The construction of its wall was of jasper. That's why when it's coming down, it looks like jasper, but clear like crystal. The city was pure gold. How'd you like to have a wedding ring made out of gold? Okay, some people aren't using gold anymore, but how'd you like to have a wedding ring made out of gold, but you could see it clear through your ring unto your finger, that you'd be able to see it? Say, whoa, that'd be nice. Or you'd have anything, something made out of gold, but you could see through it. We don't have that type of gold here on earth. Huh? Yes, Andrea. Yes, you are right, my girl. You are right. Okay. The construction of its wall was of jasper. Okay, that's why it was. And the city was pure gold, like clear glass. There you go again. Okay, this is heaven, brothers and sisters, coming down to earth. This isn't just cartoon. This isn't the Marvel universe, I think is what they're calling it. Foundations of the wall of the city were adorned with all kinds of precious stones. The first foundation was jasper, the second sapphire, the third chalcedony. Whatever these are, most of them I don't know. You're going to have to look up on your own. Sapphire, is that red? Maybe. We're not going to look these up individually because it's not that important, but different colors, different foundations. Okay, the first foundation was jasper. Remember, there's 12. Each one of them has the name of an apostle on it. The second, sapphire. The third, chalcedony. What is chalcedony? Okay, probably even pronouncing it wrong. The fourth, emerald. I think emerald's green. The fifth, sardonyx. The sixth, sardius. Okay, not sardines. Tommy? No, sardius. The seventh, chrysolite. The eighth, beryl. The ninth, topaz. The 10th, chrysoprase. The 11th, jacinth. And the 12th, amethyst. See, I got to do the hard work over here and try to announce all of these things. But look at them. I mean, you say, wow, heaven. What is heaven? We're using it as a general term. What is this all going to be like? Is this heaven? No, maybe it's the new heaven and the new earth. The new Jerusalem, the bride of Christ. But I saw no temple in it, for the Lord God Almighty and the Lamb are its temple. So now we realize that in the city, which is the bride, God is there. And God is the temple. You don't need to have a temple. We live in Him. We talked a lot about the temple over the last few weeks here at Cornerstone Church. We realize that we can make a tabernacle, we can make a temple for God in our hearts, not just a place for Him to live, but a place for Him to flourish in our hearts. That's being an overcomer. That's another thing that you can add to your list. I want to make a place for God to live. But I saw no temple in it, for the Lord God Almighty and the Lamb are its temple. The city had no need of the sun nor of the moon to shine in it, for the glory of God illuminated the Lamb and its light. The Lamb is its light. The city had no need of the sun or of the moon to shine in it. So a lot of things are changing in the new heaven and the new earth. In fact, I think we saw that there were no seas. Isn't that something that we saw about it at the beginning? There's no, I could be wrong on that. The city had no need of the sun or of the moon to shine in it, for the glory of God. This is where you're headed. This is where you're going. This has to motivate you. You want to be there? Understand. And I'm going to tell you, carnal man is not going to be there. Or if they are, they're going to be on the outside looking in. The city has no need of the sun or the moon to shine on it. Some people aren't going to make it at all. They're going to be in that lake. They're going to experience a second death. Others are going to slip in. And others are going to be in their glories. We have a revelation of Jesus Christ and His glory that is shining, and the Lamb is its light, living in the bride, living there with the bride. The nations of those who are saved shall walk in its light. And sorry, but that's all I have for today. Let's see if we can work on the sound. See you guys tomorrow.